In the latter part of October, we brought you the story of the ratification done by the Guatemalan Congress for the referendum to take place, which is to determine whether the International Court of Justice will be brought into the territorial dispute for a resolution. It is an approval that the Belize government was waiting for in order to move on with plans for Belize's referendum. According to Minister of Foreign Affairs Wilfred Edrington, the plans for Belize are in place to move forward.
The contemplation is that we would now introduce into our National Assembly proposals or legislation to amend both the Referendum Act and the Maritime Areas Act. I think final decision is very likely to be made on that next week when we have cabinet meeting.
Amendment to what effect?
We had passed amendment to the Maritime Areas Act to facilitate negotiations at that time, way back in 1992. And we have been advised by our legal advisors that it may be prudent for us to seek to amend that act. So we are looking into it. It's not a done deal yet, but we are looking into it. The matter will have to be discussed thoroughly by the cabinet. And we will determine how we'll move forward with respect to that. And then, of course, under the terms now of the Referendum Act, we will have to get 60% of the voters support the measure to go or not to go. We want to bring it to the regular 50%, 50 plus 1, so that it is just like a general election. The first past the post will be the winning verdict. So if we get 51%, 50 plus 1% of the voters, then we will be able to go.
In our story dated October 28 regarding the approval by Guatemala's Congress, we also told you of the financial burden that Guatemala's government has noted in carrying out the referendum. With that in mind, funding is being sought from the United Kingdom and the European Union. Considering that there have been several setbacks in moving forward with the resolution of the matter, we asked Minister Edrington if he foresees further obstacles in moving forward due to the financial constraints.
We fully intend to work in tandem with them so that it is expected by us as well as by them that funding will be forthcoming both for them and for us to be able to do the necessary education campaign. We also are in need of funding. Our supporters, our allies, our friends are aware of that and have indicated their willingness to provide the funding, but they want to make sure that we are both on the same page, that both Guatemala and Belize are committed to the process.
Since the results were released from the independent investigators into the shooting death of a Guatemalan miner in the Cebada area of the Chiquibul Forest Reserve earlier this year, things have gone quiet with news coming out of the Belize-Guatemala issue. Today, Love News learned that the silence does not signify that all is hunky-dory between both parties. Rather, it means that dialogue has somewhat halted. This is what we found out when we asked Minister Wilfred Edrington to comment on the status of the operational guidelines that remain pending surrounding the Sarstoon.
We are not any further than we were the last time we discussed this matter. It is necessary for the Guatemalans to in fact agree to sit with us and to negotiate it. You know, they were very upset about the last incident on the border with the youth who died. And in consequence of that, they have really backed off, gone quiet. I have tried to engage the foreign minister, but he is not disposed to sit with us yet. And neither is he disposed to cause his technical people to sit with our technical people to work on it. They are still very peeved over that incident, and so we haven't made any headway on that front.
While the government ministers are not really communicating, last week in an interview with the BDF commander, Brigadier General David Jones, he noted that things are going smoothly with him and his Guatemalan counterpart when it comes to the cooperation at the Sarstoon, among other discussions. When it comes to the adjacency zone, in recent months there were talks of the possibility of the closing of the zones due to lack of funding. The adjacency zones are funded by a group of friends who contribute financially to sustain the Organization of American States in carrying out their peacemaking roles. Tonight we can report to you that the zones will not be closed down, although austerity measures have been put in place.
I do know that monies had been donated to us by Taiwan and by Turkey for the office at the adjacency zone, the OAS office at the adjacency zone. That money was paid to the OAS office in Washington. I am not aware of any other funds being voted for that office. That office is not funded through the regular funds that are utilized by the OAS. It's supported by special funds, funds which have been donated over the years by the group of friends. The major donor has been the European Union. We do have official word from the European Union that they will be shortly transmitting funds to the OAS, bridging funds to make up for the shortfall, and that they fully intend to allocate funds for next year as well. But they are still going through the process. In consequence of the shortfall in the funding, I know that some of the programs have been discontinued there. And I think we probably have mostly a skeletal staff who are there. And that is what the situation is as far as I am aware up to this point in time.
The programs that Minister Ellington was referring to that were halted include the arts and education initiatives undertaken with Belizean and Guatemalan children who live along the borders of the two countries. Inside the